entrepreneurship is like, it's after your soul. It takes everything from you. It takes everything from you. So it comes with a lot of pain. So you need to ask yourself, what is my pain threshold? I think it's one of the things people don't talk about enough. I found, oh God, you go so far. Look, we're not going to be in the world forever. Maybe you live 100 years, or even if you live 120, it's not forever. And I just believe that everybody came here to be able to contribute something to the universe. And if all of us want to play it safe, we wouldn't have the world that we have today. So some people, and for Nigeria, for example, we need a lot more entrepreneurs to emerge. There's so much to do. Nobody's going to come and build this country from the outside. Some of us have to do that work, right? And honestly, when I left, I remember one of the things I said to my bosses, I said, look, I have a lot of work to do on the continent. And that's actually what I said. And it's true. And that's the work I'm still doing today. So yes, it was a very difficult decision. And I also think in hindsight, people will ask the question, what's the best way to live? Is there a way that works? There's no way that works. So sorry. Sorry to burst your bubble and disappoint you. There's absolutely no way that works. But there are probably some ways are probably better than others in terms of how much of a soft landing they give to you. So I give an example. Some people, there are two options usually that are very popular. People will say, oh, do it on the side. Then when it's giving you what your salary is giving you, then you now go. Some people will just say, just jump and do it. There's no right or wrong answer, right? For me, I was in that second category, jump and do it. And honestly, I don't think I would have still done it if I didn't do that. I think I needed to come out. It's like you take off everything and then survive. And here we are, but if you ask me, there's a more convenient way to do it, because you also need to ask yourself how much pain. Look, entrepreneurship, being a founder, all those things comes with a lot of pain. Oh, much pain, more pain that people talk about. We all see the flashy things. And when you have the days of LinkedIn, Instagram, you see the guy who's traveling the world, maybe even fundraising, and it looks good. You don't want to know the pain. I have a number of founder friends. People cry real tears. Some of the CEOs you're looking at, flashy, they're doing well. You want to go to the behind the scene. People, men, talking about just people, I say it's women, men cry real hot tears. And that's how, look, entrepreneurship is like, it's after your soul. It takes everything from you. It takes everything from you. So it comes with a lot of pain. So you need to ask yourself, what is my pain threshold? I think it's one of the things people don't talk about enough. Oh God, you go so far. You go take Gary, you go drink Gary. Sorry, I was looking people. That's just they talk. You withdrew, Gary. Let me bust your bubble. And I believe this happens. You go and ask every founder especially if you started bootstrapping. Give yourself, no matter how much money you think you have, give yourself 6 months. It's gone. 6 months. 6 months. I kid you not. Just 6 months. Okay, let me extend it. Maybe you have your money is long. 1 year. You have finished spending. And, reality don't. So in terms of how to soft land, one way, of course, is, keep money aside. You need to have real cash. And that's why you also need to know because you need to count the cost. How much do I need? What am I trying to do? What do you want to achieve in year 1, year 2? Do you have money? If you don't get any investor, can you keep going at this thing for 1 year or 2 years, maybe? It's very key. If you can't, you may want to think about it, You want to think about it. Then the other thing, I also think, if you can, I'm not one of those people who know how to do so. I don't know how to do side hustles. It's never been my thing. I never had a side hustle in paid employment. If I'm in paid employment, that's the only thing I do in my life. I give it my, and anywhere that I have worked, people will tell you that I give it my life. That's all I know how to do. But I think in hindsight, for a lot of people, the better way would be to do something on the side, really, like they say. Because it gives you comfort. I know some people, for example, I know somebody who's even a manufacturer, a lady who, she's still in paid employment, she's manufacturing, and she's doing amazingly well. The business is thriving, she's making money. What that does for you is that, one, you have you're your own first investor, your own first mid-term, at least short to mid-term investor. So unlike the other one where you put capital together, then you go and start, and then you can run out of money. In this other instance, you've started. There is that money that continues to come in from this other thing you're doing, this other full-time stuff you're doing, that you can continually pump and fund. Trust me, that thing is the best comfort in the world if you can do it. If you do that, you would have a better time, with entrepreneurship. But it also depends on what you're trying to build. So there's certain businesses where you need to be hands-on. But you see, I'm also learning. Like I said, I know somebody who is a manufacturer and she's in a full-time employment, and I really admire her. I don't know how she does it. So another thing you need to do is learn and relearn and unlearn. So sometimes you think this is the only way to do it, but you realize that there are other ways to do it. And you must ask yourself, how else can I get this thing done? How else can I get this thing done? So I don't know if I answered the question, but yeah, these are my perspectives on funding, on how to start, rather, on how to get started.
Navigating that transition. And thanks a lot for all that you shared. And I know that you've always been your ownership level has always been very exceptional. And it's not yesterday. It's not because now you started, driver, and then you all of a sudden, it must work. No, I think, you are, whatever you do, you've always owned it like it's your own, right? Back in and again, I talk a little bit about our history, right? The things I know the way you ran the businesses that you ran in those days and how you owned it and how you drove it and all of that. So if you're doing that now, I'm not surprised, right? And I think it comes out to, in a nutshell, right, just to try to summarize everything that I think I got from you, I think it comes out to the individual, right, and how they think, what their personal operating model is like, or what how their system is wired, right? Some people have that, call it grace, call it capacity, call it whatever you want to call it, to be able to compartmentalize their life into different things and say, I will do this like this, I will do that, and then I can combine them at different times. I will, phase this out of my mind and focus on that. And, some people can do that. And if you've listened to the conversation with Sefer around obtaining your suppliers, I think they went along that route. And, but for other people, it's not like that. For other people, whatever they want to do, right, is like, I need to be there. And I think also that the model of the business also impacts what operating model we can deploy, so to say, right? So there are jobs we all do today that you can work from home, right? But there are jobs that cannot be done from home. If you are a doctor that needs to physically examine patients, right? There is to how much you can do that remotely. Yes, there is telemedicine, there is all those kind of things now, but there are instances that get in your car, drive down and take a look, right? That is, do you get what I mean? So I think it comes out to the nature of the business, it comes out to the individual, and so it comes out to people understanding their very peculiar circumstances and being true, to who they are. You spoke a little bit about, some of the pains that founders go through. But if you have to make the choice again, Toyin, right? If you have to, I'm not wrapping up now. Right? Questions to go, but I can help asking that question, that if you have to, knowing all things that you know now, if you have to take that decision again, right?
He said, this question you want to ask is such a deep question. It's such a deep question, and I talk with so much passion because I love what I do, by the way. I love building businesses. So if you ask me what I love, yes, I work in logistics. Logistics just happens to be our sector. If I wasn't doing logistics, I probably would be doing a million and one other things, to be honest. I love being a founder. I love building businesses, Would I do it again, all over again? I honestly think yes. I just hope it would be easier then, and perhaps indeed it would be easier because I've also learned a lot, on the journey. I don't have any regrets. Maybe I should start it that way. Yeah. I have zero regrets. Zero. And when I say I have zero, I'm saying this with a lot of perspective. And let me give an example. I know what my alternative life would have been. I know. My alternative life, if I wasn't alternate life, maybe I call it alternate life, I'd be going around the world, traveling, flying business class, being a director, being a vice president, in paid employment, creating value. Because there's nothing, that's another thing we need to address some other time. There's nothing wrong with paid employment, though. But anyway, that's another discussion for another day, So I would be balling if I wasn't doing this. And I know that. And I know the things that I have sacrificed, to do this. So if I could do it over again, honestly, I think I'd still go this route, and maybe the only thing might be I might do it better. I might have grown even faster than the growth we have today. I might have optimized better. I might have made some better decisions. Maybe I wouldn't have made certain mistakes. But let's not make any mistake about it. One of the biggest things I love about being a founder are my people. I love the people at Driver. We have some exceptional human beings. And, I love working with them. I love what we're building together. I love the passion they come to the work with. I love what we're doing for our clients. I think for me, to be honest, the most rewarding part of this work are the people. And that's the reason why I would do it all over again. Look, what I want to do, that's why I say it's still day zero. Look, the things we want to do next are bold, they're audacious. And for me, I look forward to a time when we would have over 1,000 people who work with Driver, where we would have, let me say over 1,000, over 1,000, 2,000 is over 1,000, 30,000 is over 1,000, right? So I look forward to that day we would have over 1,000 people who work at Driver, who are doing innovative work at scale. Right. And you see, the reason why I say that if I were to do it over again, I would do it is because I'm also a serial entrepreneur. If I'm not doing this, there will be something else I will be doing. Look, if I speak with you, I probably have like 5 different ideas I could execute. But you can't do everything. You can't be everything, right? You have to choose one. You have to focus. You have to build depth, right? So for me, I absolutely love this life. Look, it comes with a lot of uncertainties. That's another thing you would miss when you start being a founder. In a paid environment, of course, there are uncertainties everywhere. But the difference is there's a structure that absorbs that uncertainty. When you're a founder, you're the thing lands, it's like it lands on your head first, before it goes to any other person. And you know what? Look, I think one of the things you start to appreciate some of the places you've worked when you become a founder, right? Because you now start to see that, this thing is not rocket science. So, for example, it's when you're a founder, you will know the way to the printer. You will know the way to the generator. Those days, I don't even know where. When you think about it now, look, where we were, that building, I didn't even know. In fact, all the buildings I've worked in, I didn't know the generator house was my own. I didn't even know how the printer, how they put paper in the printer. My own is you just send it, it just goes to the printer. It just, so many things work. I would take it for granted. When you now become a founder, lights will go off. Lights will go off. And, so many things will happen that will shake you to your core. And, sometimes when people run back, and look, I don't blame, it's like Japa and Japada. I don't blame people who become founders and they run. Look, let me tell you something. If it's not working, you need to be graceful to let it go sometimes, by the way. Don't die there. You know why? They say he who lives to fight, lives to fight another day or something like that. So seriously, sometimes, and it's not about you being a failure. It's just that enterprise didn't work, right? And that's why I talk about pivots, knowing when to pivot. Sometimes you don't need to die to death if you pivot early enough, so you need to be in tune with the market. So for me, I've said so much. If I would do this again, if I were to do it all over again, honestly, I think I would still go this route. The question would be whether I'm doing this exact business, because it will still be something, I tell you that, but if I were to do it again, I would do it again. I would, yeah.
Your personality, I'm not sure, you can't be within that, regulated paid employment kind of environment, everything already defined.
I can't know. I cannot. Don't tell me I can't.
For too long. But no, like just right? If you are there after, you just begin to itch, guys. I need to bat something, right? Because there are people who are fired like that. The moment you just want to back something. Ideas. Meanwhile, some other guys are not like that. Even if they have it all going entrepreneurially, right? They still want to get back into that environment where they're able to hand something, paid employment and stuff like that. That's the way I look at it. Anyway, I may be wrong, but I feel it has a lot to do with individuals. Like you rightly said, it's not all of us that are, kind of wired to be entrepreneurs, and it's not everybody that is wired to also be in, paid employment. Some people is good that they've done a degree of paid employment, right? They've learned about processes and systems and, how to manage people and all of that. And then of those things, right? We learn invaluable lessons, and then we take those things into, but you touch on the point very quickly, and I think, the last episode that we had also, I guess also mentioned something around if you had to do it again, you would want to go faster and go bolder, but do it in a responsible way, right? Do you agree with that statement? Faster, bolder, but be responsible, especially if you have wives and children. So I've asked the question around if you want to start afresh. Now, you touched on people, right? You touched on people, and I want, and I know you have quite maybe intense now of people, right? Not going to the specific, but you have a couple of people working for you, or working for Driver under your leadership. And I wanted to touch a little bit on culture, right? Touch a little bit about how you define that, your hiring processes. How do you ensure that you're getting people who can buy into that vision and who are really passionate, and not people who are just trying to, we all work for organizations because we want to want to earn and all of that primarily, but how do you transition them beyond that, earning a living, to becoming a part of a legacy, if I can frame it like that?
So I'm one of those people who would tell you that one of the number one jobs of a leader, CEO, is to sell the vision. The problem is that we think that as CEOs, we sell to the customer, and we think it's all about the customer. There's the external customer, there's your internal customer. The people who work at your company are your internal customer. So while you're selling the products to the customer, the external customer, internally you're selling the products as well, because people need to believe in what you produce, right? But more importantly, you're selling the vision, right? People need to know what you're trying to do or what you're trying to build. And you see, me, I sell. When I sit in interviews, I don't sit in all the interviews anymore, but when I sit on certain critical interviews, I sell. And I'm not begging you to join the company, but I'm telling you what we're trying to do. And for you to see the picture and ask yourself if this is the kind of place you want to be in. We may not be there yet, no doubt, but this is what we are trying to build. So I believe that that's one of the biggest jobs of a CEO. You must sell the vision to your organization from time to time, So I think that's very, very key. So another thing is, we don't do social hiring. We've never done it, So I mean, and there are things that kill. Social hiring is my sister's brothers, uncles, nephew. I know this person. And I think that's one of the things. Your guy, this kind of thing. And these are the things that kill businesses. I mean, you need to have independent processes that run in your organization, and you yourself should not be in the way. I think sometimes I've seen founders being in the way of things. You need to learn to step back and let people do things. Trust people to do things, and watch them do it. Of course, support them, but let them do it, So for hiring from day one, we've never been about, our social hiring. We don't. In fact, let me tell you, the way it works is Olufemi. So I cannot insist on a candidate being hired in the organization, even though I'm the CEO, right? So, and I say, even sometimes when maybe a CV comes to me, maybe for a role or something, and I send to HR knows that you're not obliged to do anything about it. Not at all. Because even you as HR, before you even hire, at least you must justify why you're doing that hiring. So, because one of the things that happen with founders is that the CEO is the Lord and Master of all. So because I'm the CEO now, right? My brother's uncle's child's sister's cousin. Come and work. Take CV. HR. Give this. And that's what crashes organizations. You and I were talking during the break about legacy. One of the biggest issues we have in this part of the world is that we do not have legacy businesses. And that's a pain. We have businesses that die the moment the owners die. I don't know how we're going to solve it, but it's something we certainly have to solve in this market. And one of the things you see is that people don't put in structures that allow this business outlive them. And part of that structure is ensuring that you have an organization that can hire the best people without your bias as a leader. So I think that's basically another thing about culture for us is, the way the culture at Driver works is similar to the typical everyday multinational, right? That's another thing we've, instilled from day one. And I think one of the mistakes people make is that they think that when I'm small, I should be like this. Then when we're big, we should be like that. There's a proverb, it's an African proverb, it's Nigerian, and maybe Yoruba to be precise. It says, whatever you will not take as a rich man, you don't take it from where you were a poor man. So that they don't say it's arrogance. They will say, this person, no, it was always like that. Though. Even when he didn't have money, it was like that. So it's not arrogant. As companies, as founders, you need to ask yourself, and this is one fundamental thing. From day one, you must ask yourself, what kind of organization are we building? From the first day that we opened Driver, one of the things I have said from then, and I still say it till now, is that we're building a multinational company, right? And so that informs a lot of the things that we do, right? In terms of our culture, in terms of our work, and so many other things. So you must define, and let me say this, even in strategy, right? We say strategy is a game of choices. And strategy defines who you are and what you will do. It also defines who you are not. People miss that part. And what you will not do. So sometimes you need to be clear, who are we? I'm coming from a brand background. We talk about brand character when we talk about the brand. There's also the corporate character. Yeah, every organization has a character. So for example, in Driver, we have what we call the Driver DNA, right? We know the DNA of who should work in the organization. And one of the things we're asking ourselves is, how can we bring in people who are like us and people who are also not like us, but like us in value? So that's very, very key. You need to define who you are, who you want to be, who you want to attract. I was at an event on Tuesday, and a founder was saying something, was very solid. She was talking about that, they could grow even faster than this. But the challenge is that for certain roles, they have not been able to find people with the right culture and value alignment. And I thought that was gold and priceless, because a lot of people miss that part. We're thinking about just bringing people, but we're not thinking about the impact that these people have on the culture. One of the things we say at Driver, and I say this to people when I'm privileged to sit down at the hiring table, that look, the fastest way to go out of Driver is for you to try to play politics or for you to go off values. We don't joke. No matter how skilled you are, we're going to let you go. So you must protect the culture. There's a saying, I'll wrap up here. It says that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So it does not matter how beautiful your strategy is, how well defined your strategy is. If the culture is wrong, it's only a matter of time you will start to see the cracks, in the wall of that organization. So for us, culture is very important. I don't even think we do it. I think we're trying, but we're not there yet. It's still a journey, for us, but it's certainly something we have chosen to prioritize as an organization, and we protect it. And I tell everybody at Driver, it is our responsibility, our joint responsibility to protect the culture. It's not my own responsibility. It is your. And I say to people, when we hire, because look, we may unfortunately hire the wrong people. If you find that somebody joins Driver who is not a Driver person, who doesn't have the Driver DNA, you should speak out. You should not be quiet. You should speak out. Together, we must build the kind of culture that we want in this company. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So thanks a lot for sharing that. That is so priceless, right? I know that our time is almost gone, but I will ask you just one question and then we can wrap up on that, right? Now, so will it be a safe assumption to say that when you pivoted into the logistics part of the business versus just outsourcing drivers, would you say that was like like an inflection point for your business, or there are other inflections?
That was the major. Every other thing built on that. right? But that was the major
Wow.
best decision we've made.
Wow.
And like I still say, we're on day zero. We've not even scratched the surface. There's so much to do. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Unfortunately, we have to wrap it up here before, the directors behind the scene come for me. But it's been such a pleasure having this conversation with you, Toyin, and I thank you so much for, sharing all that you shared, not just, intellectually, but also from your heart, right? A lot of, emotion and a lot of gems. I'm sure that people will get it from this conversation, and they can reapply to their own entrepreneurial journey, and then be able to achieve, a degree of success faster, quicker, which is the reason we do what we do. So, I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast. Really, really appreciate you. Thanks a lot. Any final words before we, cut the...
When I was 17, my dad had a library, by the way, and I hopefully inherited that culture from him. But there's a book I stumbled on in his library when I was 17, Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was in that book I first read this. I am hoping I'm correct. But there's a saying that I picked. I think whether that book or some other book. Impossible is a big word carried around by small men who would rather live in the world they have been given than explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is nothing. It's also an Adidas quote. And I think for me, that's that my pattern words. Impossible is nothing. We all have to dare the impossible. I don't know how. I mean, that's what keeps me alive. That's what keeps my life fun, even though it's painful, but I enjoy it. So let's all dare the impossible and do big things. Yeah.
Wow. Dare the impossible. Well, do big things. Thanks a lot, Toyin. I really appreciate that. All right, viewers, thanks a lot for listening in today. See you on the next one. Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the podcast. We are super thankful for you taking that time and investing the time to learn. We hope that you find the story inspiring, and beyond that, that you've been able to articulate one or two things that you want to do differently in your own entrepreneurial journey. May I encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment, and please share the word within your own circle of influence, especially within those that you think are on the same entrepreneurial journey with you. May I also encourage you to please, beyond subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on our other social media platforms. That means a lot to us, and we can see that that helps us to track that we're making some progress and so making some impact. Thanks a lot once again for taking the time to watch, and we'll see you on the next episode.